Hey everyone, this is D Soccer Fan, one of the hosts for the Dual Lane, and with special guest over here, Sockcap, and
What up?
I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine, homie. You don't need to be nervous, bro.
Yeah, so whoever's watching the video version, for some reason, Sockcap's like phone keeps on out of focusing him, and so that's why you see all that flickering with the lights and stuff. So if you're uh sensitive with the lighting and stuff, just hear the audio version. It's just gonna be way easier for you, I guess. So yeah, unfortunately, Captain was busy doing stuff at the time of the recording, and I'm just here. I guess if you like me or not, then whatever.
He's pretty nice. Pretty nice guy.
Pretty nice guy. Nah, I get one day in the chat, Mournful. I don't know if you know him. He called me out. I was like, "Yo, why you raging so much?" I was like, "I'm raging because y'all assholes can't like fucking do anything, y'all." He's like, "Yo, this is like a whatever game," and I was like, "Nah, it's just my I get so competitive sometimes that I just like get so heated and I just forget what the hell I'm doing, and then I'd be raging hard. I'd be cursing everybody out."
No, I do the same thing too, man. It happens.
Nah, and it just what gets me frustrated is that it just be like stupid things. I'd be like, yo, just play passive and be like, stupid shit like that when I like, and then like I'd be like, man, like y'all people can't fucking play. Like y'all playing like some fucking headless chickens and shit. And I'd be like, man, I don't know, man. I don't know why I played fall today. And then like I'm so tempted to just like all F4, and then I'd be like, by the end of the game, I'll be like, man, you know what? I'm just gonna play another game. Fuck it. Let me see what I get.
It's addicting, even though it's got a lot like a long way to go in terms of like quality and where it needs to be and stuff. But it's like the only thing that we have really that's close to or anything kind of close to Paragon, I guess. So it's still it like scratches that itch, you know what I mean? So
No, definitely, man. We're just waiting for either predecessor to maybe come out, whenever it wants to, or I guess fall or the mysterious update 0.13 to show up, so sometime soon this month.
yeah, one day.
One day, maybe one day too later, bro. I don't know. We need that shit
I
now.
thought it was gonna be out a lot earlier than it was. So kind of sucks that it's taken this long to get here. So it still ain't here yet, but it's been a long time since we've had any sort of content update. Things are stale and dry for sure.
Just remember, man. No spoilers, bro. I can't. If anything, there's gonna be like a huge like editing. I gotta do like a lot of editing and stuff just to cover like, oh no, he says something I'm not supposed to. He's supposed to be saying. I'd be like, bro. And then I got Ryan on my ass. So he'd be like, yo, are you part of the? I was like, yeah. Yo, why is Sockcap like spoiling stuff in your podcast? Like, I don't know, bro. This guy. This guy's so crazy. I don't know, bro.
Don't worry, I don't really know anything, so to spoil. Unfortunately, I wish I did. So
Bro. So you don't have the hookups like like everybody else in the
well, it's just been this past month has just been like working nonstop, so I just haven't really had like time to. I check in with the homies every day for a little bit, but I don't really have a lot of time to. Or I haven't. Now it's kind of things have calmed down a little bit, so I should be able to stream a little bit more and chill a little bit more. So we'll see. But yeah, I haven't really been paying attention the last like 3 weeks. I haven't really been paying attention to anything that's been going on.
Nah, man. I just mess around in the general Discord. Just be like, yo, when is that mysterious update coming out? Like, yo, Ryan, hook us up, bro. Every Thursday it just gets crazy. It's like, yo, are we gonna get an update? And it's like, oh no, it's just a weekly bong, and everybody's like, man, bruh. But yeah,
Yeah, it's hard.
I'm sorry.
It's hard to. No, no, you good. It's just it's hard to. Nothing's changed in so long. It's every Thursday that goes by or whatever, it just gets harder and harder to wait for
They
sure.
they
So
definitely spoil us in the beginning with all these like hero updates and all these like content changes. You know, at least like the item art in the shop, like you know, what I mean, every what was it like every month there was a subtype of change, and then it's like it stops here, bro, with this new year, and it's just like, man, I just need something.
yeah, yeah, it's like every 2 weeks for a while. We were getting like an update, or like almost, and maybe even every week. I can't remember. We are getting something small, balance changes at the very least. So hopefully, hopefully they'll get back to that. You know, that would be, I think, really good for them. So
But yeah, no. So for the people who might not know who you are, I guess is there like a little intro that you wanna say about yourself?
uh, I just stream twitch.tv/sockcap. Um, Other than that, not really. I just act like a jackass on the internet. That's basically it. So I play Paragon remakes. I think for most people that are like, not to flex a little bit, but I think most people that are in the scope of Paragon remakes probably have at least heard by now who I am. So hopefully I don't need too much of an introduction, but I don't know. I don't know if we've gotten to that point yet. I'm certainly no British HD, but we're making some headway.
Oh, trust me, we're all trying to aim for that goal for what British HD and uh what's his name? I forgot his name. Menace? No, not Menace. Bro, what's his name now?
Nabori or RGSA
No. Oh,
Myth.
nope. Oh, what's his name, bro? I can't believe I forgot his name. I guess you're not. um,
I'm trying to think of it. Was he a YouTuber?
yeah. The what's his face though? Usually does YouTube's. He used to play. He doesn't do any fall streams now because he grew stale. What was his name? What was his name? Damn, yo, I can't remember his name. Give me a second. Uh,
He used to do fault streams or play fault.
yeah, he used to the one that does like a lot of content. Windu, there you go. See,
Oh, Windu.
we're all trying to be
Yeah,
like, I guess that type of famous. I guess, right?
I had no idea who Windu was until Fault. To be honest, I kind of came out of nowhere. I guess he streamed Paragon back in the day, but I just I don't remember him. And during Paragon, I don't ever think I ever played against them or anything. So, but
Nah,
I don't know if he,
throwing
I don't know if he
shots.
came in heavy. No, I'm not throwing shots. No, I'm just saying. I think he kind of jumped on board with these remakes coming out and kind of hit it heavy. So uh, try to make some headway. Where I'm sure he streamed. Well, I know he streamed during Paragon. I don't know how seriously he streamed back then or how big his channel was back then. But
Yeah, I got
no,
no
Windows a good
clue.
guy.
It's the same thing with like, you heard of Mongoose, right? I was like, who's
Mm.
Like somebody the other day was like, yo, you heard of Mongoose? And I was like, nah, not really. He was like, yeah, he's one of these like big YouTube Paragon remake people, and I'm like, nope. Honestly, never heard of him. If you're talking about like Blood Morty, what was it, Blood Mortius or something like that? I was like,
Yeah,
yeah, you got.
yeah.
I
Blood
remember
Mortius,
him.
RDSA's Nabori, Britic, and then there was his name Flux Revived or something like that, or Flux something. But those are like the YouTuber guys. I don't know if Blood did too much, but there's a lot of big names. Hopefully, we'll get a lot of people coming back. Notch, he's a big one.
And what
Um,
do you think about if we get Mystic out of nowhere, like one of the biggest Twitchers?
what like Myth if he
Oh
comes
yeah,
back?
Myth. What did I say? Mist. Myth.
That would be if I don't know if he will or not, but yeah, I'm sure if he came back, it would definitely be good for the scene. It would get a lot more people interested for sure. So
Yeah, because I
and
remember
it's
he streamed the last day of Paragon. I was like, oh, I'm gonna see who's like streaming the last day because I was like the last day of Paragon. I was like, nah, I'm not gonna play, but you know, at least I'm gonna support people by watching them on Twitch and stuff. But uh, that day was just
yeah,
like, nah.
he was a good dude. He always pretty chill. I mean, he got his start streaming Paragon, so I'm sure it's got a special place in his heart. So we'll see if he comes back or not. I um I remember playing against him back then. Every once in a while, anyway, getting the same cues, so
You were that
it's
good,
fun.
bro, in order to get Q with it because you know I remember back then I was total garbo, bro. I was like bronze here.
Yeah, Myth. I think Myth was low diamond or high plat. I think so. He wasn't. I don't think he was ever like too high up elo wise. So, but yeah, I was. I hit the MMR cap in Legacy, and I for the most part stayed there. So like all the people, like all the all the
Like how it is right now. Then you know how everybody's just like
yeah.
in a standstill right now, basically.
Well, we the MMR cap was just a because they actually had a player base in Paragon, but like a lot of the people like Colombian, like um, people like Phasma, Colombian, somebody like B More or Provence. Um, I'm trying to some of the other people,
Or
switches,
like
like
switches, crazy
all those.
full, involve, and all that stuff.
Yeah, those are people that you can solo queue into all the time. Like I did anyway. So um, that's the fun part for me is it's like coming back and seeing all these people that you used to play with and still playing with them or whatever. It's like been like a big like family reunion. So um, that's one of the reasons why it's so fun for me to get back and play.
Nah,
So
that I hear you, bro. Now, let me ask you something controversial. Were you a
mm,
legacy the legacy map fanboy, or will you be more inclined to like monolith?
I like Legacy better. It's more of a it was more of a MOBA back then. I think that they probably was too slow, Legacy, but in terms of like the size of the map and stuff, yeah, like I like Legacy better, like rotation times, things like that. Like Monolith, I think is a pretty shit map. It's pretty small. The movement speed is like way too high. They
Time
turned
to
it
kill
into
was
like
too high too.
a brawler. So it was definitely lost a lot of depth. I feel like when they made that jump. So hopefully, and I mean you can see it with both of these games, right? Like Fault came out, small map. Predecessor did their last week in alpha. Map's pretty small. It's one thing that they noticed, like people complained about stuff like that. Now both teams are presumably making maps that are wider, bigger, um, for that very reason to reduce well, sorry, not reduce, increase rotation times. Um, which something like that makes like farming more important inherently, right? Like if you make somebody take longer to go from like mid lane to dual lane to try to gank, if they go all the way over there,
It's a
they don't
commitment.
get anything. Yeah, and they don't get anything, and they come back. If their laners shoved a wave under or whatever, they lose a whole wave or whatever. But in Paragon wasn't like that. You really didn't miss much if you rotated, after they switched to monolith. So um,
No, I definitely hear you. You know what I mean? Like how it is now, where basically if you try to go in for a rotation, you don't lose much. You only lose like a wave or two if you rotate unless if you committed hard. If you committed really hard, then I'd be like what 3 or 4 waves, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, it just depends on how long you sit there and do nothing. If you're, I mean, if you're sitting there missing like 4 waves or whatever, not getting anything, it's kind of wastes a lot of time. You know what I mean? So,
You're kind of empty
uh,
right there, then, in a way.
but like monolith, like I said, is especially is like, and that's the same problem that like Fault has right now, especially like a jungler. Like you don't you don't really if you go for a gank and you don't get anything out of it, and you go back to farming. The camp's right there, whatever. Like you're not really gonna lose much. Because as they say, the number one currency in MOBA is time, right? Like time is it's not gold, it's time. So time wasted is like the worst shit that you can do in the MOBA. You try to make everything as efficient as possible. Try to make your rotations, your econ, all that shit like as possible. So if you sit there and waste time, it's pretty detrimental, especially if they make the map wider than just have more to waste time if you're not doing things well. So, but yeah, both of them are going back to those types of maps. So I think that's says something about both these companies want to make the game a little bit more complex than Paragon was, and both of them want to kind of move away from version 42, hopefully. So we'll see uh, what happens with that.
No, I definitely hear you. Yeah. Talking about back to Legacy. I don't know if you remember when when they were testing out all the ideas of the orb prime. I usually joke around with it a lot when like I don't know if you remember when there was like a prime dunk where where you kill prime or prime and you were supposed to bring it back to like one of the other sides of the base, and then
Right,
like it was just like basically you had the buff and everybody else was like, all right, you need to protect me, we gotta go deliver this shit, basically dunk it into the design area that it needed to be, and then
right.
everybody gets a buff. What was your thoughts on that when they
It
did
was
that shit?
it was it was fun, but it wasn't. I don't think it's like well thought out or like a good mechanic for competitive play. It was just you could just like very easily just like cheese. You pick certain comps that were just like really good at. I mean, if you just gave, you could drop the buff too. So whoever got it, drop it. Just give it to your rampage back then. Just old as page and like yeet yourself with like across half of the fucking map. So, um, or you could just give it to Muriel. She could back, just sit
And
at base, and then just wait until somebody gets on top of it. She could ult them. Like literally makes it so you just have zero risk of losing the buff if you do something like that. Like your team could wipe, but you're not gonna wipe and then give them the buff. Um, so there is just like a lot of ways to really abuse that mechanic. I feel like, but it was fun. It made for some like
crazy ass shit, bro.
funny,
Crazy.
yeah, funny and crazy comebacks and stuff like that. It also drug the games on for a good while. So um, I don't know. I think they. I don't think any of these companies are even entertaining the idea of doing anything like that either. I think uh, Overprime had dunking in it, but I don't know if they still got that in the game or not. I don't know if they've removed that or what. I haven't watched Overprime stream in a while, so I don't know.
Nah, to tell you the truth, when it comes to like covering all three games, like I'll be like, all right, let me see like the predecessor news and all that stuff, and then I'll be looking at it, and I'm like, all right, let me go to fault, and then I gotta do the weekly updates, and then I'm like, I think I'm done there, and then I was like, oh shit, there's Overprime, and it's just like it's in an awkward spot, bro, because you know what I mean, like the game is out, and the only way in order to get it is like do all these VPNs and do these loopholes and all that stuff, and I'm just be like, that's just man annoying. And then like they have their own launcher and stuff, and it's just like I don't know. To me, it's I'm basically I'm kind of dumb. So like you gotta make me do all these launchers and then Google Drive, download that. Like, it's just too much work
Yeah,
for it. Right? And then you know what I
yeah,
mean. You get on Steam, you just like click on play, and that's it. Like that's how I want it to be. Just like click, that's it. I don't have to deal with anything else.
it takes a while to download that game too, from my understanding. Once you start downloading, I was just never into the gameplay. It's just like way too fast paced, too much like a brawler. Not didn't seem like it had too much like depth to it besides like just be mechanically as good as possible and uh, farm as fast as possible. It seemed like that was the way to be good at that game, but I don't know. I wasn't my cup of tea, so I never really got into it.
Nah, I definitely hear you. And so you know, let's go back to talking about Fault. You know, what I mean, the way the game is now, you know, what I mean, it has grown stale. And don't get me wrong, you know what I mean. At least they're doing the like out of all the three games, they have been consistent on letting us know about updates and stuff compared to like anybody
Mhm.
else. You know what I mean? I love that type of commitment that they do because like you know what I mean that's not you know what I mean. For example, for like predecessor, I know they have like a hidden like a lot of stuff you know in their back end, and they're not gonna release information just to release it. You know what I mean? But like you know, every time you ask for information, it's like, hey, what you know what type of announcement are you guys gonna make, or like what type of or what's gonna happen basically, and you know what I mean. Can you just give us at least something, or like, hey, just wait until this day, and we're gonna give you more information. It's like some type of information like that would be like useful, or be like at this moment, you know what I mean. The only thing they say at this moment, you know what I mean, just look at announcements. Something might pop up soon, but you never know, and it's just like, well, whatever. Like that's pretty annoying to me at least. And then you got Fault at least. There's a right now they've been doing the weekly updates, and you at least know that every Thursday there's gonna be something at 1 o'clock Eastern. So it's like, yeah,
Right.
you know what I mean. Like when it comes,
Yeah, people.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, you good. People been getting mad about those things, which I think is funny because people before then were getting mad about the lack of updates. You know what I mean? And they start doing weekly updates, and people get mad about that. There's no way to please everybody, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a good thing. It's at least shows people that they're continuing to work on it. Um, you're right. It's kind of rough waiting for something like Pred when we have like no kind of overall timeline of like when the game's going to be out. So I know they just did that um, update not too long ago where they showed off like the menu UI, and it's kind of wasn't expecting that. I was expecting something a little bit more
Nah, yeah.
juicy.
Well,
But
I mean, I don't know. At least in my eyes, I was able to get more out of it than it was just like a regular like UI, because like a lot of people were like, at least I noticed. Well, a ton of people noticed where it was like, hey, those are console buttons. It's like, yeah, those are
right,
you got the console buttons. It's like kind of interesting, and then then you think about it. It's like, yeah, it's kind of obvious that they took it, they took it from like a PC and stuff, but like it makes you wonder how far the development they are on the console side, just because most of the people that were Paragon fans was console people at first, just because well not I mean it came out on PC first, and then eventually went to early access into the PS4, but
yeah,
most
I
of
think
his player base was PS4.
yeah, I think like 70% of the player base is PS4 for sure. So
So it just
like,
makes me think, because I put my conspiracy hat on, and then it just like be like, yeah, I wonder how far the development they are, and I wonder, do they have like the dev kits, and if they do, it's like, all right, they got the PlayStation or the Sony's dev kit, right? But what makes me wonder is like, they're also going to release it in other consoles, like for example the Xbox. And I'm like, I wonder if how far in development are they, and then if they are, or even if they even started, you know what I mean? Because from what I heard from Fall at least, that they were gonna, iron out all the kinks and stuff on PC first, and then transition, or bring it over to console after that, which we just don't know an exact day or how far they are in the process of doing that.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I honestly I have no idea how difficult it is to like port something over. I kind of wish they had shown like because those like main menu UIs, like who knows if they were screenshotted from somebody just opening up the program, or if they like photoshopped anything. Um, Kind of wish that they had shown off like a little video of them like navigating the main menus. Is kind of like a little bit surprised that they didn't do that. Just kind of show it working in action. So that's why I don't know. I get a little bit skeptical of stuff.
You
I
put your
think a lot of
tinfoil hat
people like,
on.
well, I think like a lot of people like expected too much out of like both these companies coming into it. I just felt like I'm surprised that we're even where we're at now. You know what I mean? Like I didn't think that any of these games would be like remotely where they're at this point in time. I honestly didn't think that we'd ever see one of these be playable. I just wasn't thinking that we'd have enough people crazy enough to do this or skillful enough to go through with the idea of recreating the game. So, but hey, here we are, and things are getting better slowly. So hopefully they'll. Hopefully, I just want to know what's gonna happen, man. Like I just want to know what's gonna happen between Fault and Pred. I just want to see it play out. I'm tired of waiting. I want to see what Omega has to offer, and if they can, do better than Strange Matter, or if they're gonna run into the same issues that Strange Matter's had, which is also a possibility. So
No, I
I don't know.
definitely, I definitely, share that feeling, bro. But at the same time, you know what I mean? Like, we're kind of in a unique uh, situation with this whole stupid virus and pandemic and all this shit. Because you know what I mean? Like, before that, at least before that, I don't know how much this entire, like I said, like pandemic and uh kind of halted with their process with both games, because like I said, like, with the whole, most of us just transitioning from working from like the office to home or whatever field of work you were doing, at least I know, I think most of them were working from home anyway, I think.
Uh, yeah, I think for the Strange Matter guys, yeah, like the majority of them. I don't think that at least the guys that like really did a lot of the um, heavy lifting. This is their full time job now, and I don't. I guess it pretty much was the get go when they started on it, but yeah, I think Jester and Fresher for sure. Both of those guys are. This is their full time work. And I know there's others too now at this point. So now that the game has been released and they've made money, stuff like that, they can pay people and to work on it more.
Yeah, but then you got people saying, "Yo, where's that money that I paid for the game?" You know what I mean? you got a bunch of people complain about that. I was like, "Hey, I spent like $60 on the game, and you know what I mean. This is what I get," and it's like, "Yo, bro, like, kind of walked in, it's early access still. I don't know what you expected with early access stuff. And then like I got somebody in stream the other day. It was just like, I was like, hey, you know what I mean? What do you think about the quality of the game? And I was like, it's okay for now. You know what I mean? It's not. It's a bit stale, but that's just because there was no recent updates, and I mean it just. But I'm kind of an addict for, I guess, like the game anyway. So it's just like I don't care. Like I just don't. If I could be
Right.
playing with the same five people, all night, and I'd be I wouldn't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's for sure. I mean, I think it's I don't know. I mean, a lot of people I think probably came from like console or whatever, and they aren't used to. I mean, yeah, I've played like a lot of EA games that are better than Fault, like quality wise, and I've played some that are worse. So I mean, but EA is EA. Like I mean,
Yeah, don't even get me
that's the
started, bro. Like I'm addicted to their fucking FIFA franchise. So every fucking year, I'm just wasting $60. Like FIFA 21, FIFA 22, FIFA 23, and it's just like, and then like, oh don't get me started with the Ultimate Team, bro. That's like another like that's a gambling shit right there. Just because I want to get like good players, then I got to drop like another like $200 and stuff, and I'm just like, man, I gotta stop doing this shit. But for some reason, I go back. Every year I'm just buy the game. Fuck it.
right. Yeah, I played like a lot of like EA games. Like I remember there's one called like Fractured Lands. I think is what it was called. The one that like Shroud was showing off on stream. It was like a Mad Max like styled PUBG basically, right? Like it was a BR. But it was like Mad Max. You had like vehicles that you could drive around, and they had like guns on them, customize them, shit, pick up attachments for them. Um, yeah, how about that game? And I think it survived for like 2 weeks after I bought it, and then it died. And like so you always run the risk of like that. It's like I didn't get refunded or anything like that for I wasn't expecting to. You buy into EA, you're taking a risk. It's more of a like buying into the idea of this game because you want it to succeed. I think that you know, obviously, like you don't want to abuse as a developer, like you don't want to abuse that title. Like you don't want to say like slap EA on your game and take advantage of people, but still at the same time, like I just think that I don't know what people were expecting. You know what I mean? Literally, both studios, Predecessor or Omega and Strange Matter, consist of old Paragon players. As far as I know, maybe one or two. It's certainly like no starting out with Fault. I think there's only like one dude that worked on Fault's team that had any sort of experience working at an actual game game developer, like working in an actual studio. There's only one person that had like any experience doing doing this game developing a living. And I don't think that I don't know now, but I know for a good while there wasn't anybody at Pred that had any sort of idea about like game development as well. So like I don't know what people were expecting. You know what I mean? We have basically two companies consisting of former Paragon players that love the game so much and had like a decent understanding of Unreal Engine 4, but a lot of them have it's been like a learning process for the devs as they've been going. Uh, I think a lot of them have really like learned a lot about Unreal Engine through this whole process, and you know, this is the outcome that you get. Yeah, a lot of people also, I think, don't realize that Pred's been in the works for longer too. So, I mean, I don't know. Fault is released early, and the quality kind of suffered as influence. Pred's biding their time, and they've been in the game for a little bit longer, and the quality is certainly a lot better in terms of how it looks graphically, and how it feels. So, but I think hopefully this patch will at least address the feeling part of that. So sorry, I'm just rambling. I hope that answered your
No, no,
question.
no, no, no. You can ramble as much as you want, bro. You know what I mean? Like we're just here to talk, basically. You know what I mean? And then to go back to what you're saying is that you know what I mean when it comes to I can't be talking now. Developing like games and stuff. Like a ton of like I come in there and I'd be like, yo, this should be easy. Like the other day I was talking to the cooch. Yeah, well, it's a couple days ago anyway. And I was like, yo, I don't know why these art people are like, coming out with these concepts art and stuff. You know what I mean? They should be like with the masteries and stuff. And I'd be like, these people should be like maybe focus more on concept arts of new heroes and stuff. You know what I mean? That's
Right.
not the. I'm not talking about like the roster that was in Paragon. Like I'm talking about like actual new heroes because like that's what at least that's where I'm gonna distinguish like the studios just because like whoever comes out with or at least to me whoever comes out with like a hero of their own idea or you know what I mean or at least develop a hero from like hey this is our unique hero. You know what I mean? That's gonna be like, oh, okay, that's gonna grab my attention, and then you know what I mean. That's gonna be a game changer at least at that point in time because it's like, hey, this is our own hero. This is what we did to him. You know what I mean? Balancing, you know, besides balancing and all that stuff. You know what I mean? This is unique. This is wasn't a part of the original Paragon. You know what I mean? This is something just our game will have compared to like the other Paragon games. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, they also just it just kind of like proves that they're capable of doing that. You know what I mean? So it's like once they just prove that they're capable of creating a new character from scratch and that matches the quality of the Paragon assets, then it kind of alleviates any sort of anxiety that people have of like what's the longevity of these games. You know, if they go through the entire roster of characters and then they're unable to do anything after that, how long can this game really survive? Is it worth my time into it? We've talked about the demerits of in testing with Vault. Like I've talked about like the maybe it's something to consider, like trying to release a hero that's your own, original hero, just to see like how much of an impact that would have on people's opinions and confidence in the studio and stuff like that, and if it would get more people to play. But I don't know if that's really priority right now for either studio. It would be interesting to see if Pred do something like that. I think if they came out and full early access, open 24/7 or whatever, and they had their own hero, and I think it would be pretty rough for SMS to be able to compete
At
with
least
that.
like
But we'll see.
whoever comes
But
out
yeah,
with a new hero. Uh,
yeah, I just said that if feel like if Pred came out, opened their game up 24/7, and they had a new hero, that would be pretty rough for Fault to compete with that. But at the end of the day, too, I think a lot of people think like I say hard to compete, but that's not quite the case, right? Like I'm kind of not giving SMS enough credit. Um, at the end of the day, it's not about who gets the Paragon community because the Paragon community wasn't like that great to begin with. It's not. It wasn't like huge. It wasn't a huge community. I guess is a better way of putting that. So I think the idea is that like you want to create a MOBA that is obviously like getting the Paragon community, especially like in the early uh, years of the game's life or whatever. Like that would help, right? You get more people playing, kind of that snowball starts getting bigger quicker, and But you want to you want to develop a MOBA. It's been like the way that I look at it anyway has been over a decade that Dota and League have been out. Those games run this shit, right? Smite is barely in there compared to those two, and that's the only other MOBA that like has been around for a while that has any sort of like merit or credit to it, or player base basically. Uh, as far as that, I don't think there's really any others that kind of stand up. So these games have been out for like over 10 years. Like a lot of people say that like MOBAs are dead. I just don't think that that's the case. I just think that like it's stale, right? You can only play a game for so long, like League and Dota, where you watch anybody like streaming the game or whatever, and like you can tell that a lot of them are just tired of playing the game, right? They've been doing this for years and years and years now, but there's nothing new in the MOBA genre. That it's not like BR games where there was like a huge craze and we were getting one seemingly like every fucking month. There was a new BR game during like Fortnite being all crazy. It seemed like we were getting a BR game every fucking month. So I just really think that like there's a unique opportunity if somebody came in and created a MOBA that you know really stuck true to the core nature of a MOBA, but then also added their own kind of twist or flavor to it, which I think creating like a fully 3D environment, 3D gameplay is enough of a twist. They just have to do the they have to get the core elements right. And if that's the case, if they can do that, I don't see why one of these games couldn't take off in a big way. I think it's a long shot, but it's certainly you look at games like League of Legends, that was a long shot when it released. You know, um, they certainly weren't expecting any sort of level of success that they have today. They didn't, you know, they they got lucky too in the sense that they released their game free to play, which was uncommon back then, and it really garnered a lot of support for them. Got a lot of people. So um, they were kind of like one of the first games to kind of really succeed with that the free to play model. Uh, so I don't know. There's an opportunity here. We'll see if SMS or Omeda are able to capitalize on it. I guess.
No, yeah, and then just to go back on where you're talking about like what people have their opinions. Last episode that me and Captain recorded, we are talking about like the tribalism thinking that of us as like in the community at least have because what I mean when it comes to like favoritism with games and stuff, it's like, oh hey, I'm a part of the fault camp, or I'm a part of the predecessor camp, or I'm part of the whole overprime camp. You know what I mean? We're we kind of just ruin the game ourselves there, just because like, oh hey, we hop into like the overprime Discord and be like, hey, why are you playing this garbage? Just hop on a fall or something. You know what I mean? That's way better. You know what I mean? It's on Steam, it's playable and stuff. And then the same thing where if you go hop into like predecessor, be like, hey predecessor people, you know what I mean? There's a game called Fault. You can play it now. You don't have to wait. You know what I mean? Like, is that it's that it's not. I'm not saying it's like the whole community, but it is that certain number of people who just go in there and they just trash talk the game instead of just trying to like support
Yeah.
Earth 3, and then it's just what I mean, just do yourself a favor. You're making yourself look bad, and you're also making the game look bad just because you're trash talking. Like, if that's the type of people, imagine like, say I'm the predecessor and somebody for fault comes in there and they start talking all this shit, and I'll be like, oh, so I guess like the fault community is like some type, from this one person, this one impression. Oh, they're all like that, you know what I mean? Because You know what I mean? From that, that's the impression I'm gonna get at least. It's like, oh, they all think
You
like
know,
that. You know what I mean? It's like it must have maybe it must be a friendly community. You never know, but at the same time, it's like I don't know. You got this guy talking trash about one thing, and it's like I don't know. I wouldn't. At least face value, I would have been like, nah. Why would I join? You know what I mean? If they're gonna just curse out people for no reason. You know what I mean? That's just I don't know, stupid.
yeah. But yeah, the like I guess what I was saying before is the I think the overall goal for both these companies, well, I guess Overprime too, but like really should be not to cater to the Paragon community and to try to cater to like the MOBA community as a whole, right? Like what aspects of your game or what qualities of your game kind of interest the MOBA player base largely as a whole instead of just some niche kind of or niche community, like Paragon, small community like Paragon was, because then you want your game to have that potential to blow up and have that like longevity, that potential of longevity. Anyway, I think just aiming it for like how do we get the Paragon community behind us, probably not the best way to go about it. But I mean, I could be wrong.
No, no,
See
I don't think you're
what
wrong at
happens.
all. Just because, like I said, why, you know, in order to get to a game to succeed, I mean, you just gotta be, first you gotta grow the community. I mean, you're fortunate enough to have a community there. You know what I mean? Just because Paragon was so huge before, and and don't get me wrong, what I mean, Paragon had lots of like bugs and faults and all that stuff, and people forget about that. You know what I mean? They it's or at least people are like, oh, Paragon was perfect. What are you talking about? It's like, nah, man. Paragon had a ton of bugs, ton of issues, and then you come in here with high expectations, and it's not like that. That's why you know what I mean. That's why a ton of people was like, I don't get what type of expectations a ton of people have when you're going into an early access game, and it's just like, oh nah, bro, I thought this was a finished product. It's like, nah, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't know why you get that impression, but I mean, I'm sorry to tell you, and that's why what you go on Steam right now, and it's like a ton of negative reviews, and it's just like, oh, this game is not finished. And it's like, well, yeah, duh, it's not finished.
yeah. Well, I personally think that like I don't. It, Paragon towards the end, obviously, like it still had bugs and stuff, but it much smoother experience than playing Fault or Pred for that matter. Paragon was definitely the smoothest. It's the original game. It was done by a AAA company, but in terms of like the balancing, like I would rather play a game that had fault balancing any day over how Paragon was towards the end. Because it was just like it was a mess towards. They had so many just really god awful cards
Don't even get me
that
started with that card system. As soon as they implemented the card system, I just hated it with a passion. I was like, this is so stupid. I don't know why they just dumped the whole thing and then just switched over to like a stupid card system. I was so stupid.
yeah, I think people like forget like there's so many metas that were just like crazy. Like you had people stacking for a while. You had people stacking
And then you had the stun
rogue,
air,
numbing rogue. Do you remember that numbing rogue was the one that like reduced your movement speed and I think maybe your attack speed by a little bit, but it was an aura and it stacked. So five people had it on your team. You get hit with five stacks of that, and you literally like couldn't move. You had that, where you had like the unstable cyborg meta, where everybody was building that shit, and you'd be hitting them, and you'd be doing less damage to them, and you'd be procking unstable cyborg, and that would be doing more damage to you than you're doing to them. And it's like, well, how do I even fight this? This is ridiculous. So you had the over overclocked engineer, whatever, amplification engineer, that card that would like single handedly you get that card on. a character like Morgesh or Faye or any of the mages that had like a spammable kit, and all of a sudden their DPS was going up like 3 or 4 times as much as it was before they had that card. I mean, there's just so many cards that were just. I think for a while there, people were running Trapper. That card was pretty strong. The slow, like once you got hit with one auto, there was like no escaping that person. They just, it's a card that when you autoed somebody, they got slower and slower and slower, and eventually they got rooted. So people were running that. I mean, there's just so many like unfun metas. I think the possessed Spriken meta was probably like the worst meta I've ever played because it literally like it just made it. Everybody was buying it. Like you'd be on mid, you'd be buying it, right? And it was one of those cards that like uh was cursed or whatever, so you could never sell it. But it was just so good early in mid game, gave you so much regen that it was like, dude, you just buy this, and you just if they don't, then they just never trade with you. You can take like the most brain dead trades. Like you could trade like 3/4 of your HP for like 20% of theirs, and that would be a good trade if you had possessed Bryken because you'd heal it all back up in like 10 seconds. It's like it was terrible. Um, just made it laning like boring. There was no fighting. There wasn't any point to it if you both had possessed Bryken killing each other. Like it was. So yeah, I don't know. People have the tinted glasses on when they look back and remember Paragon, but it was a really bad game at the end. It was just really bad, like balance wise. It was still fun to play, but like competitively and from like an objective standpoint, it was like really terribly implemented game, really badly, poorly designed. So I think that at least so far, both these studios, from what I've seen, have done a much better job, at least initially, balancing their game than Paragon. The Paragon went from like had like 2 years of like balancing their game. It just got like progressively worse and worse and worse and worse until they shut down.
Well, if I'm
So
not mistaken, you know what I mean, didn't they fire like one of like the leads, or at least like, you know what I mean, like, talking about the history of Paragon, they fired someone really important to the game, and then it's just like you notice the dip in like in quality, and after that it's just like something, you know what I
yeah,
mean. Well, at least
Steve Superville,
yeah, you know what I
that
mean.
guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he was in charge of I think the game development or whatever, or he's like lead developer. I don't know, but uh, for Legacy, he was involved in Legacy, and then yeah, he either quit or got fired or let go or something. I don't know. Game definitely went downhill after that. So he's supposedly keeping an eye on Pred. So he tweeted about their announcement when they got that funding. So he is paying attention.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that, because I remember, when Pred announced that 2.2, what was it, $1 million from their funding. So I was like,
Mm.
oh, interesting. And then you go over to Twitch, and you look at the names that were attached to that tweet. It's just like, all right, you know what I mean? Like, you got big people behind it, but at the same time, it's like, at what cost did that 2.2 million for Pride, like, what was the price that you had to pay in order to get that? Because, you know what I mean, like, at least if in terms of SMS, they're, only the founders have control. But, in Predecessor, you got like a ton of investors that are like have their hand in the cookie jar, and then, you just never know how they're gonna modify the game, because, they want their funds back, you know what I mean. So
Right.
so that
Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully they got full creative freedom over there at Omeda. You know, because otherwise it can be they're making decisions. I think you always need to make like a decision. At least the way that I look at it is when you talk about like a board or like investors or whatever, they're looking at games like from a money standpoint. Like what can we do to get money out of this game? A lot of decisions based off of like that question and then end up going over poorly. Like it was like loot boxes and Paragon. That was a way to having skins that you couldn't buy in the store, you could only get from loot boxes. That was a way to squeeze money out of people, and then people like myself included
Oh no,
bought
I
loot
was a
boxes.
part of one. I was a part of you, bro. I'll be ever just dropping $100 each week. Yeah.
Yeah. But like I know people didn't really necessarily like that about the game. But I think you just got to go from like a standpoint if you're developing a game like what can we do to just like improve this game and just keep looking at it from like that standpoint. Obviously, you got to like create some way of monetizing your game if you're going with like a free to play route, but um you just keep focusing on like how to improve the game, how to make it deep and stuff like that, deep experience, a rich PvP experience, shit like that, and the money comes with that. If if you ain't focusing on the money and you're focusing on the game, then you make a really really solid game, then the money comes. Uh,
No, I
so I
definitely
think
hear you. It's the same. It's like the complaint they had in the beginning of fall when they had that what was it, battle pass, or what's it called?
right,
Oh yeah, the stupid pass thing they had. A lot of people were throwing shade because it was like, hey, why do you have this like pass when the game is not been out, or fully, yeah, not
yeah, it's still
not
an
fully
EA,
fixed. Yeah, what I mean. It's just like it's kind of a slap in the face. Just so people took it like, oh, you're asking more money from me
right?
now than what I mean. The game's not been like fully there yet, and it's just like, well, what I mean. At that time, they, what I mean. I guess they were what they said. They said they're checking like, what was it like, microtransits. They said something like that. They were checking microtransits or something like that. So it was just like, I mean, I get it where they're coming from, you know, but at the same time, I also get the people who are saying, hey, what I mean, this is not the right time to do it yet. You know what I mean? Just maybe something down later down the road would have been beneficial.
Yeah, I think it probably was a turn off for a good amount of people. I do think that it was a little bit much too personally. I understand why they did it. So they're trying to make some money to get the game off the fucking ground. Um, but yeah, I initially when it was like first coming out and they were selling the skins that they had made, and then they had the battle pass, but you also had to buy the game on top of that. Like, seemed like it was a lot. And I think it kind of was off-putting for a lot of people. And we'll see. Pred's got that funding, so from my understanding, at least what it says on the website, it will be free to play uh, when it comes out. I'm guessing the way it looks anyway on their website. But
You never know. It could be like it's the same thing that could happen. And it's like, oh, you want to play this early access game, just drop like 20 or 30 bucks, and then on top of
right,
that, what I mean, if you want, you never know. They might actually come out with a pass too, and it's just like, hey, you need to drop like another 30 bucks, and then you get this, whatever they offer their pass. And so, if people complain, then and there, then what I mean, it's kind of like, oh well, if people don't complain, I want to say, if people don't complain when Pred does it, then it's like, what I mean, that's on you, bro, because it's like you come into fall and you complain about it, but then another game does it and you're not, and it's still in
yeah,
early access and shit, and then you don't complain about it. I do see it as some type of bias that you have, at least in my eyes. You know what I mean? That's like bias.
yeah.
to its pure. You know what I mean? It's whatever though. I guess
A
in a
lot of
way.
people, I think fault's come a long way. So like, I think a lot of people that maybe played it like the first week, like it definitely had a pretty rough release. Um, so and I completely understand people like discrediting it on release. Like, maybe it wasn't up to their level of standard. For me, I just never give a shit about how a game looks. Like I just want like a good, deep, like complex gameplay um, experience. Like I want a good, like complex PvP game. You know what I mean? That you can like really like. I would feel like if you get into a game that's like easy to learn but hard to master. It's got like all those different kind of levels of
Mechanics.
skill. Yeah,
Yeah.
like that shit's so fun to me. Learning all that stuff, getting proficient at it, and the dance, that you have between your opponent or whatever, like learning what they, how they play or their play style, adapting to that, and like adapt to you. But anyway, um, shoot, what were we talking about before?
We're talking
Oh
about.
yeah, yeah, like so, yeah, like I just don't care about graphics. There's like a lot of people do care about graphics and care about like I care about the feeling of the game a little bit. It's more so like how responsive it is and stuff. So Fault has gotten better in that category, but it's still not, I would say, great. Um, a lot of people, I think, if they came back and gave it a second shot now, I think they would have fun with it, or at least enjoy it.
No, yeah, I definitely hear you because when at least my impressions of that first couple days was really pretty tough because it was like you got on there and then you were in the Discord and people were like, "Oh, is it up? Is it up? Is it up?" And then you was like, "Oh no, we pushed back the date on Steam for like another like the what was it? They pushed it back like an hour and they're like, we're having issues." And at the same time, if I remember right, they were using like Amazon servers and stuff. And at the same time, Amazon servers were getting like DDoS by some they were getting badly DDoS, and so that affected not only Fault, affected Steam, affected a ton of
Yeah,
other shit, and then affected the game because it also it's using the servers, and so when you tried to hop on and play a game, you were just not able to. And then a lot of people were talking shit about it. It was like, oh, this broken ass game, can't get into the game, like servers are down. And then, I come into Discord, ask for questions, and, they don't answer me. But at the same time, you're like, you got 50,000 people going in there and be like, oh, is the game on? Is the game ready? Is the game like live?
right.
And then, you ask a question, it would just get buried because a ton of people would just typing at the same time. Even with the slow mode, that shit would just go. It would just get buried, and
Yeah,
I mean, people would just not. People would just play it for like one game, and it was like, this is trash. I want a refund, and it's just what I mean. Like I said, the first couple of days was really rough for them.
yeah, yeah. They definitely did not have a good release. So they had a lot of bugs that were causing games to crash too on release. Uh, yeah, it was definitely rough. So, but I think if people came back and gave it another shot, find it, like I said, they might not get back into it. I don't know, but they think would find it in a lot better of a state. I think it's night and day how it was when it got released, where it's at now. So
Yeah,
hopefully this patch brings a lot of people back. You know, I keep hearing tidbits of how good it is gonna be. So um, we'll see.
yeah. Remember, no spoilers, bro. I don't want Ryan to come after me. He DS
Oh
me, and
no.
it's just like, yo, I heard you making spoilers over there. It's just like, nah, bro. But nah, bro. It was nice chatting to you, and if you, I guess you have any final words to say, to the community or to the devs or any type of devs, I guess, to any game.
Check out the channel, twitch.tv/Sockcap.
Uh,
Check it out. It's the last Paragon content creator you're gonna need to watch. I'm telling you right now. Fuck, fuck Nabore, fuck Notch, all those guys. No good. Not. Come watch this one right here. So
what's your
this is
what's your
I'm
stream
joking.
schedule then? If people don't know.
So I stream like really late at night and like into the early morning. That will change though because I actually I don't know when it's gonna happen, but somebody left that works second shift here at my job. So I will be moving into that second shift position as soon as we can get another third shift person hired and trained um, to take over for me. So I'll go. Yeah, I started working here at this job second shift, and then I went over to help them out. They needed somebody to cover for third, so I did that. It's been 3 years now, so I'm ready to go back to day shift. So hopefully my streaming schedule when I'll be off. I don't know if I'll have like a set schedule, but it will probably be like uh on the days that I'm off, be anytime between noon and midnight probably that I'll hop on and stream. Um, so we'll see, but it'll definitely be the majority of my streams now will be during daytime hours as opposed to like midnight to 8 a.m. You know the streaming schedule that I've had the last year. So hopefully it'll do good. Hopefully we'll get more exposure and be able to meet a lot more people, hang out with a lot more people, and um, hopefully we'll make some progress with the channel that way. So
Nah, that I hear you, bro. Yeah, I'm hoping for the same, bro.
yeah,
And then, all right. Thanks, guys, for watching. As usual, follow, subscribe. Any, all the links are gonna be down in the description below. And I'm gonna say Captain's catchphrase, which is "Get out of bronze." Talk to you guys later.